what was your first experience with the series? First game you played, and what were your initial thoughts on it?
So I think that I probably had one of the worst first experiences with the series. Like, if someone were to go up to you and ask you, like, what is the worst way that someone could experience the Kingdom Hearts series, mine was probably worse than that. But I won't go into all the details. Let's just say that the first one that I actually played was, believe it or not, Dream Drop. So yeah, I wasn't one of those people that was into the series like way back when.
Oh, man.
And I knew about the series because I'd seen commercials for it and stuff, but like that was the first one that I picked up. And then I went back and played the other ones, and I just kind of, I guess a lot of the times I just assumed that it all made sense because everyone said that it made sense. So I was like, I'm sure it'll be explained, because I also like experienced them out of order. It was horrible, but I won't get into all the details. But yeah, that's how I started.
Well, my first Kingdom Hearts game was Kingdom Hearts 2 back in 2006, late 2006. I remember vividly getting it at the store I got it. It was at the Target that's still there. I'd never heard the series before that point. I'd seen several commercials for Kingdom Hearts 2 on like Nickelodeon and stuff like that. I was really young when the first Kingdom Hearts game came out, so I wasn't really around to experience that. So my first experience was with Kingdom Hearts 2.
So my first experience would be about 2004. My friend came over to hang out one day, and he brought the game over, explained the whole genre of what it was, and explained like the premise, I would say, like Disney characters, RPG, Square Enix, or Squaresoft at the time.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool.
My first experience with the series is Kingdom Hearts 1, for sure. When it first came out, at least I think it was when it first came out, or maybe like a month after, because I got it for Christmas, and I was over the moon. Like, you don't understand. When I saw this commercial as a kid, I don't know how old I was in 2002. I don't know. I was born in 91. You do the math.
I think I was 5 years old, and it was, I believe, 2003. So it was, I forget if it was the year the game came out or the year after, but I was young, so I don't really remember. And yeah, that's how I got my start. I was a wee little kid, and the rest is history.
Oh man, so this will go back to when Kingdom Hearts 1 released. I was 10 years old. Everybody talked about like Final Fantasy games and stuff like that on the playground. I had a friend who was really into Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VIII was the one I played at the time in terms of that. I didn't really know 7 other than what everybody told me. But I had a friend who told me they saw a trailer for a game, and it had Cloud in it, which again, Final Fantasy VII was his favorite game, so he saw Cloud. But it also had all these Disney characters, and he's telling me this. In my mind, this sounds like a dumb idea. Like this
sounds weird. Yeah.
It's like that's stupid. Why? So it might be a day or so later. I see the commercial. I see like the Soras, and I see the Disneys, and I see the Cloud. That was the first game I got day one.
So I had a buddy when I was living in Arizona. That's where I went to, like, middle school, high school. And I had a friend who, he was a drummer in my band. And his older sister and a bunch of other people were kind of like all part of like our crew that like we hung out with at lunch at school and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we were over at his place for a party, a bunch of kids there. I want to say it was like 15, 20 kids like hanging out in the backyard. Everyone has a swimming pool in Arizona, so we're all out there swimming. And I went in, and he had his PS2 plugged in and was playing this game, Kingdom Hearts. And I had been a fan of Final Fantasy for a while at that point.
Right.
So he was trying to explain it to me, like it's like Disney and Final Fantasy like comes together, like meets. I thought that was really silly. I was like, what?
Yeah.
How can you pull that off,
Well, like, when I first picked up the game, like, it took me, I would say, 6 months after everyone else did. It was Kingdom Hearts 1, and it was like 6 months after because I had these CD pouches. I don't know if you ever, had these CD pouches where you'd keep your games in there, but I had these CD pouches, and I had a whole bunch of games, and I stumbled across this one game that had this dude I'd never seen before, and then Donald and Goofy, and I'm just like, what is this? Never even seen this. And I went through that whole entire case so many times and never seen it. But I started it up, and I'm just like, what the hell is this game going to be about?
I started off with Kingdom Hearts 1. I think I heard about it through Disney 411. It was like one of those commercials that I was playing during Disney Channel.
Right.
It was like Jesse McCartney was, or not Jesse McCartney. Haley Joel Osment was like talking about the game and stuff.
My first experience with the series was Kingdom Hearts 1. I got in as an OG player with the first ever game. And I was introduced to the game through a Disney Channel, not a Disney Channel, but a commercial. I don't want to say it was from Disney Channel. I don't know if you're familiar. Have you ever seen the Disney movies, like the Disney DVDs, like the House of Mouse Disney DVDs? So the House of Villains, like back when it was on VHS and stuff like that, I had the VHS tape for that along with, hundreds of other Disney movies. And I watched it, and one of the commercials, like one of the little advertisements they had, before watching the thing was like, now, before we, like those things right there, like before I hopped in and gave to the feature film, one of the commercials was for Kingdom Hearts 1, and that's how I kind of saw it, and I was like, what are all these Disney characters doing here? And I was like, that's crazy, and you could actually probably find that on YouTube. This is crazy, and I was like, yo, I was like, what is this? And I liked video games at a young age. I mean, I got into video games when I was young, but I saw that, and I was like, what is this? And I had a PlayStation, so I got the game, and that was pretty much my first time getting into the series and playing.
All right, well, honestly, my first experience with the series was with my one friend who was my neighbor. He had the game. He had Kingdom Hearts 1. And I remember he had a PlayStation 2. I didn't have... I think at that time I might have only had a GameCube. So I didn't have anything PlayStation. And I remember going to his house and watching him play that game. And I loved it. And, I'd always, I was very polite about it, but I always wanted to play it. So I'd be like, hey, man, can I, jump in? And, so I'd, I'd play at his place. But the thing is that he didn't know how to really play Kingdom Hearts. So he got stuck in Wonderland. He didn't know how to go back to, the world select screen. So, literally, he was stuck in Wonderland, and he didn't know how to leave it. So, that, he ended up not liking to play the game. He was like, oh, yeah, this is... He was, not, that about it. Because, I mean, which is understandable. If you can only run around Wonderland for, hours... Yeah, I mean, that'd get old pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we played Union Cross, we know. I'm kidding.
Oh, God, no. But yeah. Seriously, I mean, so I played it at his place. And I remember not too long after I was playing it at his place, I finally got a PlayStation Slim, PS2 Slim. And, of course, the first game I got was Kingdom Hearts 1. Okay. And I, drank that thing up so fast.
First game I played was Kingdom Hearts 1, the original. Funny story, I actually wasn't interested in buying the game when I saw it, and it was one of the greatest hits, or it was when PS2 games were out and they usually had the red bar above the title of the game. That it was at a cheap price, but it's a really good game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't look to getting it, and my dad got it for me, and I played it, and then I started liking it.
So, my first experience with the series was, I think when I was 9 or 10, probably 10, somewhere in that area. I got Kingdom Hearts 1 for Christmas, actually. I think it was a Christmas gift from my stepsister or something. And I was into Disney Channel and all that sort of thing. So I had seen commercials of Kingdom Hearts 1, but I didn't really, I was a 10-year-old. I was dumb. I didn't know what it was. So I was just okay, cool. That sounds awesome. It's Donald and Goofy and this other dude with a key.
I would say the first time I ever came across it, I was in a video game rental store back when those were a thing, and I was in the PS2 section, just trying to see what all was there, and I came across Kingdom Hearts 1, the box, and I just remember being what is this? Because I saw Donald and Goofy on the cover, and then I saw these like weird anime children, and I was like, what on earth is this game? I didn't get it. I was just very confused, but like the name stuck in my head after that. And then fast forward a couple of years, I'm watching, what was it, Disney Channel back when I was in like middle school, and this was back when Kingdom Hearts 2 first came out.
Right.
They were advertising it on Disney Channel, and so of course, because of my previous experience, I vaguely remembered, oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts, wasn't that weird thing I saw back in the day?
I didn't know like that the story was like so complex and everything, and like Dream Drop is the one that works the least by itself, because it's not like it barely even really has a story per se. Like, I mean, it has a story, but like they just kind of throw you into it, no explanation, no context, and if you don't know the other ones, then like at least with Birth by Sleep, you can kind of say it works a little bit on its own, maybe not the end, but yeah,
because I mean, with Dream Drop Distance, you don't really get much of an introduction. You just start. Yen Sid's
and then there's Ursula, and then there's Yen Sid, and then there's The World Ends With You, and it's like, okay.
It blew my freaking mind, man. I never played a game like that before in my life. I usually just play like movie license games and, just like things you just do from point A to point B. Don't really do anything else, just kind of basic stuff. But this had like lore, this had story, this had amazing characters, this had amazing gameplay. Nothing like I'd ever seen before. I was confused because obviously I didn't play Kingdom Hearts 1 or Chain of Memories, so I was a little lost. I was still blown away. You know what I mean? I was just so amazed by what this game was doing. It showed me that games can be art, and I'd never really thought of that before. And then, I bought Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories and all those other games afterwards.
So I asked my mom to buy me Chain of Memories because I figured it was the same thing. I didn't know at the time. Chain of Memories was actually my first game I actually played, but the first game was like something that I actually watched for the first time. That introduced me to the series.
Okay.
So playing Chain of Memories when I got it in the mail from eBay or something, I immediately was spoiled that you could play as Riku, so I immediately jumped to that. I was like, oh, sick.
Nice.
That was the hardest thing ever. And then I played Sora and realized, oh, this is the way that you were supposed to play it originally. So after playing maybe like a little bit of that, I asked for the first game for Christmas and played through it in like 2 days and absolutely fell in love with it.
I lost my damn mind. Like, I needed this game. I love Disney, and then even though I wasn't a Final Fantasy person at the time, it just looked so magical. I mean, for a kid, you see lights and magic and these like these attractive characters. Like I remember seeing Riku, I was like, ooh, hello, who are you?
Oh yeah.
I do love Riku. I do, and I loved it. I fell absolutely in love with it. There were times where it like stressed me out. Of course, I couldn't get past the first like evil Riku battle,
okay.
in Hollow Bastion, I think.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah, whatever that was. Oh my god, I had to fight. But overall, it was such a great experience. It was so much fun seeing Donald and Goofy. Sora is just a goofball. I loved it. I had such a good time with it. I really did.
Well, I loved it as a kid, so it was my favorite series growing up. So it's still my favorite series now. So my opinions have been the same since I started playing. Just it's my favorite series.
For sure. Was it like the whole Disney aspect that kind of grabbed you?
Yeah, as a kid, it was. I think my parents got it for me as not a birthday gift. I think it was Christmas.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, if not for them, I wouldn't have gotten into the series to begin with.
That was the first time I ever went and picked up a game day one. I saw the trailer, I was like, I don't know what... I see what it is. I shouldn't like it, but I'm 10 and this has things that are cool. I need it. So my neighbors and I all went there and we picked up a copy of it from the PS2. And the first thing we got up to, like the furthest we got on the first day, was just the area in Traverse Town. But I saw Squall, and I was like, oh, it's Final Fantasy VIII guy! And he's like, I'm Leon. I'm like, no, you're Squall. and you know, they kind of acknowledge all that.
Yeah.
But that was my first experience. So yeah, my initial thought was, why? And why should I accept? But then I saw it, and then with the commercial, I was like, I don't know why, but I must have this.
That makes sense. So it would be both the Disney and Square Enix thing, or was it Square?
Oh no, it was definitely both.
Okay.
I see Donald, Goofy, and Cloud and all stuff, like just weird stuff I've known, just thrown together in some weird hop hog. Just like, here's a game, and it sounds dumb until you see it.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how it is for people now that haven't played it and hear us talking about like KH3.
Mm-hmm. And all the 50 games in between too.
Yeah. Well, that's how you make a trilogy. You make it out of 11 games.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly which place in the game he was at, but I was watching him fighting, and the fighting looked really cool. You know, like visually, it was like just really cool-looking sort of combat, and he's fighting these Heartless, these monsters and stuff. I think he fought a boss, and then he turned it off and went back outside, and his older sister had come in. She was a big Disney fan. I was a big Kingdom Hearts fan. And so we started a new file, and the two of us kind of just sat there and played it for a while. And I kind of went through the Destiny Island section, and that's where I got really hooked by it. I was like, dude, this is awesome. So I was way into it, but I didn't have a PS2, so I didn't have the ability to like play that on my own or go buy the game and play it at home or something like that. So I would come back to their house. Again, we were in the same band together, and I'd see him, you know, playing it, the first Kingdom Hearts games intermittently, sporadically, you know, throughout the week and stuff. And I eventually ended up helping him fight against the Riku Ansem boss fight, which is one of the tougher fights in the game.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he was playing on Proud mode, so it was like pretty tough. And anyways, we would kind of take turns fighting it, and eventually, you know, we finished it off. And so I have these really strong memories of the first game, kind of tied to specific friends that I had at the time, and just the concept of like something that I was really into, Final Fantasy, and something that their family was really into, which was Disney. They'd go to Disneyland all the time. They had season passes and stuff. Oh my God. Kind of coming together, and it was kind of cool to, you know, to see it that way. So, anyways, that was my first experience with the series. I didn't really know the story that well because I didn't have my own copy. And he would play when I'm not there and stuff like that. But I do remember that when the second game was getting ready to come out, that's when I decided to buy a PS2. Okay. So I went out and got one, and I got Shadow of the Colossus at the same time as another game I thought looked really good. And so then I played Kingdom Hearts 2. I had no idea about Chain of Memories. I had no clue about that, and I hadn't really followed the story. So I just played Kingdom Hearts 2, and I was totally lost. But for the most part, enjoyed the combat. And anyways, from there, a few more years go by, I played 358/2, and I loved the story in that one. That was the first time where it's like, oh, I followed the story, and I got into the characters, and I really liked the sentiment kind of behind its themes. And then I played Birth by Sleep, and as I've said many times in podcasts and elsewhere, that's where I quit. That's where I was done. I was like, I can't take this anymore. The story's too crazy for me.
Right.
So that's pretty much my first experiences with Kingdom Hearts games.
I just enjoyed it. Just seeing one Final Fantasy characters in there, I was just like, oh, this is just awesome to see. Like, when I first seen Leon, Yuffie, and all them, I was like, this is really, really cool. But just seeing every, like, just all these worlds incorporated within the series and all that, and I was just like, this is really, really fun. And I mean, as a kid, it was also kind of like a thing that I could play with my mom, because she doesn't normally play games. She was like more of that old school, like Super Mario type player. So when she seen that game, she was just like, she kind of familiarized herself with Donald and Goofy, so she thought it'd be a cool game to play. So we used to play that. She used to play that with me as a kid, like a lot. So I remember it was during the summer, I don't know when, but I remember I fell asleep and I woke up hearing button noises, and my mom was in Hollow Bastion just sitting there slaying Heartless, and I'm just like, what is going on here? And it was just so freaking cool. And yeah, my first experiences with the series probably is, honestly, I don't even know. I think it shaped me as a gamer just in general, because like it was just so awesome. The music got me into liking just, I don't know how to explain it, but it got me into liking gaming a lot more than any other game ever did.
So my initial impressions of it, I mean, I was young. What, that was 2000. When did Kingdom Hearts 1 come out? 2002?
Yeah, 2002. Yeah.
So I must have been about 6 years old. And like in my head, I just remember they showed the silhouette scene with Mickey and the Keyblade, and in my head I was like, that's Mickey with the sword. I totally want to play this game. I was really into Tarzan at the time, and Tarzan was one of the worlds at the time. So I got really into it, jumped in. I remember I borrowed my cousin's PS2 for it, and I rented the game from Blockbuster. So,
Ooh.
I mean, that dates me pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I rented it from Blockbuster, and that's pretty much how I played it, because I grew up as a Nintendo kid, and Kingdom Hearts was like the one thing that was like, I gotta get a PlayStation because this is never coming to GameCube.
For sure.
But I absolutely loved it. I was very excited for it. I guess aside from Pokemon, it may have been like my first major RPG introduction.
I was in love with Disney.
Mm-hmm.
The story for Kingdom Hearts 1 was not very confusing. It was very much so easy for people to get and understand.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I actually was never able to beat the game fully. I actually beat Kingdom Hearts 2 fully before I ever beat Kingdom Hearts 1 fully.
From the get-go, I was always just really about it. I loved it was just so weird, and I grew up like running around my backyard with my friends, and we'd like make toy swords and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like I remember like I made my dad's workshop the Kingdom Key and the other wooden keyblades that if you see like on our set. Mm-hmm. I made those with some of my friends, and we would just run around and pretend to fight enemies and stuff, and we used those wooden swords. And I don't know, it always just spoke to me. It always resonated. So like, it was just always something really important, and I loved it.
In the first level when you're in Destiny Islands, and I couldn't figure out what I had to do when the Heartless were attacking the island. I had a hard time trying to find out where to go, and eventually I found out that I had to go to the cave to go further in the story. But it took longer than it should have. It took me like, I think, a good 2 hours. So it was fun doing like the little mini games, but I was expecting like a little bit more fighting. So it did start off a little slow for me. I wasn't tuned into liking it that much. And then yeah, as the story went on, when I'm in Traverse Town, and you go to Olympus Coliseum and Wonderland and Treehouse, it started picking up, and I started enjoying it a lot. I was like, yeah, this fighting stuff and swinging a key at stuff and having magic abilities, pretty cool.
For the first, I want to say like 3 playthroughs of the game, I didn't have a memory card for the PlayStation 2. God. We just straight up didn't own a memory card. We had like PS1 memory cards, but no PS2 memory cards. So I would play the game up to like Guard Armor and up to like Clayton and the Stealth Sneak in Tarzan World and Deep Jungle. And then I would stop because I couldn't get any farther than that. But I would always complain, like, I don't have a memory card, I can't save the game. So so my parents finally got me like a PS2 memory card, and I even had like the Prima strategy guide for KH1.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I used that, and so I was finally able to play the game. And yeah, that was it. Like I played the game in decent chunks. So yeah, that was my initial reaction to that. That was my initial introduction to the series.
I was just like, well, I don't know if I like this or not yet, so let me just try the one that looked really cool to me and see if it even sparks my interest. And if I really like Kingdom Hearts 2, then I'll stop and go back and play the other one so I know what the heck's going on. So that's what I did. So I rented Kingdom Hearts 2, and yeah, I pretty much from the get-go, even with Roxas's little tutorial section taking forever, even with that part, I was like, wow, this is probably the coolest thing I've ever played in my life. And so I think I stopped after the Roxas tutorial ended, returned the game to the store, and then I saved up all my allowance money and I bought Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Didn't know what Chain of Memories was at the time, but then I got that later as well. Yeah, so then, yep, and that's how it all started, and been obsessed ever since. That was back in like 2006, summer of 2006. So it's been a long time.